Ever look at a brand new game and think, yeah, it looks good, but is it really that much better than what we already had? Well, in this video, we're diving into some visually stunning games that have aged like fine wine. Seriously, these beauties still hold up incredibly well today. You might even be surprised they don't demand a supercomputer to run. Forget those crazy PC specs for a moment, because we're about to celebrate some truly gorgeous games. Let's jump in. Ryse, Son of Rome. A game that dropped back in 2013, but still looks like it could have launched last week. This was one of the Xbox One's big launch titles, and honestly, it felt like Crytek's way of flexing their muscles and saying, yeah, we can still push the limits of what games look like, and they absolutely did. The visuals in Ryse are just absurdly good, even today. The way the Roman armor reflects the sunlight, the gritty detail in the cobblestone streets, the smoke and fire effects during sieges, it's all still jaw-dropping. And then you've got the facial animations. Seriously, go back and look at the characters during cutscenes. The emotion, the micro-expressions, the eyes, it was wildly ahead of its time. CryEngine wasn't messing around. Now, gameplay-wise, yeah, it caught some heat for being a bit repetitive, and fair enough. The combat didn't evolve much past stylish button prompts, but that's not really what made Ryse special. It was the sheer atmosphere, the immersive presentation, and the wow factor that made your jaw drop when you saw it running for the first time. Honestly, a lot of modern games still don't reach this level of visual polish and cinematic presence. If we're talking old games that still look better than most new ones, Ryse, Son of Rome is absolutely one of the first that comes to mind. It's a timeless visual showcase and a reminder of just how far presentation can carry a game. Batman Arkham Knight. Let's dive into Batman Arkham Knight, a game that still holds a place as one of the most visually impressive open-world titles ever made. Released in 2015, this was Rocksteady's final chapter in their Arkham series, and they absolutely went all out with it. If there was ever a game that made Gotham feel like a living, breathing city, Arkham Knight nailed it. From the moment you step into the dark, rain-slicked streets of Gotham, you're hit with an overwhelming sense of immersion. The city feels alive, the towering buildings cast shadows that seem to stretch for miles, and the reflections on the puddles as rain pours down, it's like you're inside a graphic novel. The lighting is just chef's kiss. They used a mix of dynamic day-night cycles, environmental effects like fog and rain, and tons of atmospheric details that make Gotham feel like a real place. A Gotham that you'd almost want to visit if it wasn't filled with thugs and supervillains. Let's talk about the character models for a second. Batman himself looks incredible. The detail in his suit, the way his cape flows, and how the shadows interact with his armor make him look like he just stepped out of a comic book page. And then there's the other characters, from Harley Quinn to the Arkham Knight himself. Every face is incredibly detailed, and you can almost feel the tension in their expressions. Now, the Batmobile. Oh man. The Batmobile in Arkham Knight was a game changer for the series, and it looked just as good as it handled. The way it seamlessly integrated into the environment, zooming through the city streets and tearing through barricades, made it feel like a true extension of Batman's arsenal. Plus, the way the textures on the car shine under the city lights or the moon, stunning. It's not just the visuals that hold up either. The animation work is top tier, and the combat, the fluidity of Batman's movements as he swings through the city or takes down enemies in brutal, seamless action, is as smooth as ever. The level of polish in Arkham Knight is insane, and it's the kind of game you go back to just to see how much detail went into it. Sure, there were some criticisms about the Batmobile sections feeling repetitive, but visually, it's hard to beat the level of fidelity this game brought to the table back in 2015, and even today, it still holds up as one of the best-looking superhero games out there.
Jim, we've got a way to find out where Crane...
Uncharted IV. One of those games that made you stop and think, this is what next-gen gaming looks like. Released in 2016, it was a masterpiece in every way, both as a swan song for the PlayStation 4 and as one of the best-looking games of its generation. From the very first moment, Uncharted IV pulls you in with its stunning visuals. The level of detail in this game is absolutely insane. Every rock, every tree, every piece of clothing feels meticulously crafted. The game takes you to some of the most breathtaking places places on Earth, lush jungles, sun-drenched beaches, and crumbling ruins that feel like they've been around for centuries. The environments are so detailed that you feel like you're living in a National Geographic documentary. The lighting, too, like it's a whole other level. The way the sun filters through trees or reflects off the water during some of the game's most iconic sequences is pure magic. It's the kind of lighting that makes you want to just stop and appreciate the view. But the real star here is the character models and animations. Nathan Drake, Elena, Sam, these characters look real. The facial animations are so detailed that you can read every emotion in their eyes, and the movement is so smooth it's like watching a movie. When Drake swings across cliffs or interacts with the environment, it feels fluid and natural. Even the smallest details matter. The textures on Nathan Drake's clothes, the way his gear moves, the dirt and wear on his shoes, everything has a tactile feel to it that makes the world come alive. And when it rains, forget about it. The way the rain hits the characters, the glistening wet surfaces, and the dramatic impact of a thunderstorm is enough to make you feel like you're standing in the storm yourself. And let's not forget the cutscenes. Uncharted 4 took cinematic storytelling to the next level. The transitions between gameplay and cutscenes were seamless, and the camera angles combined with the top-tier motion capture work made every character interaction feel incredibly real. It wasn't just a game, it was an emotional journey with these characters. Sleeping Dogs, one of the most underrated gems in the open world genre. Released back in 2012, this game still holds up visually, even when compared to some of the newer titles that have come out in recent years. It might not have had the same massive budget as some of its contemporaries, but it absolutely nailed the visual style and atmosphere. Set in a vibrant, chaotic, and beautifully realized version of Hong Kong, Sleeping Dogs is a love letter to the city. The neon lights, the bustling street markets, the towering skyscrapers, it all feels alive. The game's attention to detail in recreating the city is something that still impresses today. It still feels dense and textured with little visual flourishes that make it stand out. Whether it's the rain-soaked streets reflecting the neon glow, or the way the daylight filters through the city's skyscrapers. There's a gritty, lived-in feel to the world that captures the essence of Hong Kong, and it's something that sticks with you long after you've put down the controller. The combat in Sleeping Dogs is another major highlight, and visually it's some of the smoothest hand-to-hand combat you'll see. The way Wei Shen moves in a fight with those brutal, fluid combos and environmental takedowns makes you feel like you're watching a martial arts movie. One thing that stands out about Sleeping Dogs is the attention to detail in the little things. The textures on Wei Shen's clothing, the way the light changes as you drive through the city, the sheer variety of environments. All of it contributes to a feeling of immersion. It's a game that doesn't rely on crazy graphical fidelity to impress. It creates a world that feels real and lived in. And that's something special. Sure, Sleeping Dogs didn't have the same budget as a GTA 5 or Watch Dogs, but it more than held its own in terms of visual quality, and its open world design still feels fresh today. It may not be as polished as some of the big budget open world games we have now, but it's definitely a game that deserves more recognition for how stunning it looks, even years after its release. Far Cry 4. Let's talk about Far Cry 4, a game that didn't just build on the solid foundation set by Far Cry 3, but took it up a notch in terms of both gameplay and visuals. Released in 2014, this game brought players to the fictional Himalayan region of Kirat, a place that looks like it's been plucked straight out of a postcard, and it still looks fantastic today. The environments in Far Cry 4 are just gorgeous, with towering snow-capped mountains, lush forests, and vibrant, colorful villages. The game absolutely nails the sense of scale. When you're standing on a cliff looking down at the vast, sprawling landscapes below, you feel like you're part of this massive, living world. The visual variety here is insane too. You've got dense jungles, rugged mountains, and serene lakes, all designed with such incredible detail that it never gets boring to just explore. And then there's the lighting. The way the sun peeks through the clouds during a mountain sunrise, or the way the shadows stretch across the landscape as day turns to night. It's the kind of thing that makes you want to pause and just take it all in. But what really sets Far Cry 4 apart visually is the way it handles the atmosphere. The game has a real sense of place, and that's thanks to its color palette, world building, and environmental story. Every corner of Kirat feels lived in, from the rundown temples to the military checkpoints scattered throughout the map. The action in Far Cry 4 is classic Far Cry, tons of weapons, crazy vehicles, and explosive moments. But even the combat itself is pretty visually stunning. Whether you're ziplining over a battlefield, firing off an RPG, or stealthily taking down enemies with a bow, the game's animation and effects make everything feel exciting and dynamic. The use of fire, explosions, and environmental hazards is also a standout. Whether it's a forest fire spreading through a jungle, or an avalanche triggered by your gunfire, it all looks fantastic and adds to the chaos of the game. In terms of visuals, Far Cry 4 is one of those games that holds up well over time. It's not the most hyper-realistic, but the art direction and world design make it incredibly easy to get lost in Kirat. It's the kind of game that reminds you why open-world exploration can be so satisfying, because even after all these years, there's still a lot of beauty to be found in the game's expansive, visually rich world. Ryse of the Tomb Raider, a game that still blows people away with how incredible it looks even years after its release. As the follow-up to the 2013 reboot, it took everything that was great about the first game and cranked it up a notch, especially in the visual department. The game takes you through some of the most breathtaking environments you'll ever experience in an action-adventure game, from the icy, snow-covered mountains of Siberia to the lush, dense forests and ancient tombs. Ryse of the Tomb Raider is a visual masterpiece. Every setting is meticulously crafted with insane attention to detail. You can see the snowflakes as they land on Laura's outfit, the way the ice cracks under pressure, and the way the sunlight breaks through the clouds to cast dramatic shadows on the landscape. It's not just about making things look pretty, it's about making you feel the environment, from the cold of the mountains to the warmth of ancient ruins. Oh, one of the most impressive things about Ryse of the Tomb Raider is the lighting. It's so dynamic and realistic, adding so much depth to the game. The way light filters through the trees or glimmers off the snow in the frozen wilderness is almost cinematic. The game's lighting does a fantastic job of setting the tone, whether you're sneaking through dark, eerie tombs with only a flashlight, or standing in awe in front of an ancient sunlit temple. Then there's Lara herself. The character model for Lara Croft is one of the best in the business. From her facial expressions to the way her hair and clothes move, it's clear a lot of love went into making her look as real and immersive as possible. The way Lara reacts to the environment, her clothing getting dirty as she climbs through mud, or the way her breath fogs up in cold air, all of these details make her feel like a real person rather than just a character in a game. And let's not forget the tombs themselves, the heart of the Tomb Raider franchise. These ancient ruins and hidden chambers are filled with intricate puzzles, but they also shine visually. The textures of the stone walls, the ornate carvings, and the ancient architecture are just as impressive as the environments outside, making every tomb feel like a place frozen in time and waiting to be explored. Ryse of the Tomb Raider might not be the most groundbreaking game in terms of technology, but it's a perfect example of how fantastic art direction, detailed world building, and impeccable lighting can still make a game look and feel amazing even years after its release.
Remember, orders are to take her alive.
Quantum Break. Let's dive into Quantum Break, and they still look impressive today. First off, let's talk about the world of Quantum Break. The game takes place in a near-future world where time itself is falling apart, and the environments reflect that. You've got sleek, high-tech buildings that look like something out of a sci-fi movie, industrial settings with a gritty edge, and decaying ruins where time anomalies are visibly messing with reality. The way the game handles time distortion is visually striking, whether it's a time-frozen moment where everything is still but the air is filled with dust and debris, or time breaking down in an action sequence, creating these surreal pockets where things are moving in slow motion while others stay normal. It's not just a gameplay mechanic, it's a visual spectacle. The character models in Quantum Break are some of the most lifelike you'll see in a game from that era. The facial animations and expressions are another level, especially considering how much the game relies on storytelling and character interaction. One of the most notable visual feats in Quantum Break is its use of seamless integration between live-action TV show segments and the game. At key moments, the game transitions into full live-action cutscenes starring actual actors in these incredibly detailed high-budget sequences. This was a bold move that gave the game a unique feel, and the production value was off the charts. It's not just about seeing the actors on screen though. The entire world around them felt alive and reactive to the time-bending chaos. The lighting, particle effects, and the way the world shifts during these intense sequences just draws you into the chaos that's unfolding. The game's attention to detail doesn't stop there. The environments are packed with little touches that give them weight, from the way glass shatters during time events to the way objects freeze mid-magic when time gets messed with. The visual fidelity of the textures and the way things interact with time, everything is crisp, detailed, and immersive. Whether you're in a high-tech laboratory or a run-down abandoned building, you can feel the age and wear of the place, like it's been affected by the time-shattering event that's central to the plot. Then there's the action. Quantum Break is full of visually dynamic moments, like using time powers to freeze enemies or slow down time during gunfights. Watching enemies get caught in a time freeze, surrounded by floating objects and moving in slow motion, is a treat for the eyes. The combat is intense, but the way the time manipulation powers are integrated into every fight makes it feel fresh and visually exciting. In the grand scheme of things, Quantum Break might not have been a huge commercial success, but its visuals were something to behold. It was a showcase for the power of next-gen tech, with stunning environments, lifelike characters, and a style that made it feel like you were stepping into a futuristic TV series rather than just playing a game. Even today, it still stands as one of the most ambitious blends of live action and gameplay in terms of visual storytelling. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Now, where do I even begin? This game is one of the most visually stunning RPGs ever made, and it still holds up incredibly well today, nearly a decade after its release. When The Witcher 3 dropped in 2015, it wasn't just a game, it was a living, breathing world that redefined what open world games could look like. First off, the environments in The Witcher 3 are nothing short of breathtaking. From the rolling hills and lush forests of Velen to the snowy peaks of Skellige and the foggy, haunting beauty of Novigrad. Every area feels like it was crafted with meticulous care. The game's world is huge, and yet it feels dense with detail. The way the sun sets over the horizon, casting golden rays over the fields. The way trees sway in the wind, or how snow gently falls on the landscape. It all contributes to a sense of immersion that pulls you into Geralt's world. You're not just running around a map, you're experiencing a place full of life and history. Every corner of the world has something new to discover, whether it's a hidden cave, a ruined fortress, or a village caught in the midst of a monster hunt. And then there's the lighting. The Witcher 3 excels in how it uses lighting to create atmosphere. Whether it's the vibrant, almost painterly light of a dawn in the countryside, or the dark, oppressive atmosphere of a storm rolling over a battlefield, the lighting constantly changes to match the mood of the scene. At night, when Geralt is riding Roach through the forest, the moonlight filtering through the trees makes everything feel a little more magical. The environmental effects like rain, fog, and thunderstorms further add to the world's depth. The beauty of the world changes as you move through it. Every season, every weather pattern, every shift in time of day makes the world feel different and alive. The character models in The Witcher 3 are some of the most detailed you'll find in an RPG. Geralt's weathered face, the scars, the graying hair, the intricate details in his armor, all of it adds up to a character who feels real and lived in. And let's talk about the monsters. The creatures in The Witcher 3 are one of its standout features, and the way they're brought to life visually is pure art. From the hulking, grotesque monsters you hunt in the wild to the terrifying specters haunting the abandoned ruins. The game excels at making every encounter feel unique. The animations during these battles, especially the fluidity of Geralt's combat and the movements of the monsters, make the world feel dangerous and unpredictable. Whether you're fighting a pack of wolves or taking on a giant bear in the wilds, every battle feels like an intense visual spectacle. One of the most iconic visual moments of The Witcher 3 is when you enter the city of Novigrad for the first time. The scale of the city is staggering, with people walking through the streets, markets bustling with activity, and towering buildings in the background. It feels alive and lived in, with so much to explore and so many details that make it stand out. The game constantly surprises you with its world building. Whether you're standing on a cliff looking out at the ocean or wading through a swamp, there's always something that catches your eye. The level of detail here is insane.
Here they are.
Final Fantasy XV. Final Fantasy XV marked a bold and ambitious departure from the long-running franchise's traditional turn-based mechanics and lush fantasy settings. Instead, it introduced an open-world experience, high-speed combat, and a more modernized world, and visually, it was a spectacle. Released in 2016, the game pushed the boundaries of what was possible in terms of visuals, blending modern technology with the series' signature fantasy elements to create a world that still looks stunning to this day. One of the first things you'll notice in Final Fantasy XV is the vast, sprawling open world. The world of Eos is massive, and it's filled with so much detail that you can easily get lost exploring it. Whether you're driving around in the Regalia, a sleek convertible, or just walking through the fields with your friends, you'll constantly be awestruck by the landscapes. The lighting, especially during the day to night cycle, is breathtaking. The sunsets, simply magical. The way the world shifts as the sun sets behind the horizon or the stars begin to shine, these moments are visually mesmerizing, creating a world that feels alive and dynamic. The combat system in Final Fantasy XV is fast-paced and fluid, and the way it's visually represented on screen is incredible. Combat feels intense, and the effects are dramatic. From the dazzling magic spells that light up the screen to the smooth weapon switching and chain attacks, the action is visually dynamic and keeps you on your toes. The animations during battles are some of the most polished in the franchise, and the fluidity of movement as Noctis teleports around enemies or slices through them with his sword is a real treat to watch. Another standout is the sheer amount of detail in the game's environments. Final Fantasy XV is packed with tiny visual flourishes that really elevate the experience. The way characters interact with their surroundings, like Noctis leaning against a car or relaxing by a campfire, makes the world feel lived in and immersive. The vehicles, especially the Regalia, are designed with a level of detail that makes them look like real functioning cars. The changing weather, from thunderstorms to clear skies, further adds to the visual richness of the world. The rain, for example, creates a beautiful reflection on the ground, and the puddles that form give the environments a sense of realism. The game even has detailed day-to-night cycles, and you'll find that the world changes completely depending on the time of day. The sheer scale of the game's world is also worth mentioning. When you climb to the top of a mountain or stand on a high cliff and look out over the landscape, it's easy to get lost in the view. The way the world stretches out in front of you with distant cities and areas waiting to be explored is awe-inspiring. The level of detail in the sky is also worth noting. The sunsets, the stars, and the way clouds move across the sky all add to the sense of wonder. Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1 took players back to the chaos of World War I, a setting that at the time felt fresh and immersive in a first-person shooter. Released in 2016, it didn't just stand out for its unique time period, it also pushed the limits of visual design and realism in the FPS genre. The game is a testament to how stunning visuals and meticulous attention to historical detail can come together to create an unforgettable experience. From the moment you step into the game, you're hit with jaw-dropping landscapes. The environments in Battlefield 1 are nothing short of beautiful, despite the brutal and war-torn backdrop. Whether you're fighting through the muddy trenches of the Western Front, charging across the desert sands of the Sinai Peninsula, or navigating the snow-covered fields in the Italian Alps, every map is filled with intricate details that make you feel like you're truly part of the historical conflict. The game does an excellent job of conveying the scale of the battlefields, with trenches stretching for miles, massive artillery guns booming in the distance, and the ever-present fog of war hanging over everything. But it's the vehicles in Battlefield 1 that deserve a special mention. The tanks, planes, and even the horses are all meticulously designed, each one feeling like a true part of the game's world. The way the tank rumbles and crushes through debris, or the way a biplane streaks across the sky, creates a sense of scale and power that makes you feel like you're part of something much bigger than yourself. The way these vehicles interact with the environment, leaving deep tracks in the mud, tearing up the earth with their weapons, or causing massive explosions, adds to the overall spectacle of the game. The destruction in Battlefield 1 is also key to its visual appeal. It's not just about the combat, it's about how the environment reacts to it. Buildings crumble as tanks fire on them, trees fall under artillery fire, and explosions send debris flying through the air. The level of environmental destruction in Battlefield 1 adds to the intensity of every battle and makes each moment feel dynamic and unpredictable. Now, you never quite know how the battlefield is going to change, and that keeps you on your toes. The game's use of destruction isn't just a visual gimmick, it's woven into the gameplay itself as it affects strategy, movement, and positioning. But perhaps what's most striking about Battlefield 1 is its ability to create a sense of scale. The battles feel enormous, with hundreds of soldiers clashing against each other, massive tanks rolling across the map, and planes dogfighting in the sky. The game never lets you forget that you're part of something bigger than yourself, and the visuals constantly remind you of the sheer scope and devastation of war. Even in the smaller, more intimate moments, like crawling through the trenches or taking part in a quiet sniper duel, there's a sense of immersion that makes you feel like you're truly experiencing the horrors of World War I. Infamous Second Son This Winter Games Next Gen of games was a big deal when it dropped in 2014, especially for PS4 owners. It wasn't just the first infamous game to make the jump to Next Gen, it was a true showcase of what the new hardware could do. The game's visuals were a major highlight with stunning open world environments and incredible character details. Even today, the game still looks great. First off, the city of Seattle in Second Son is gorgeous. It's this perfect mix of real-world landmarks and the game's own creative flair. You've got the recognizable skyline with the Space Needle, the busy streets filled with people, and even the waterfront area. Everything feels alive and full of detail, like you're really walking through a city. And the best part, it changes with the time of day and the weather. During the day, the city's lit up with clear skies and sunshine. At night, the neon signs and lights come alive, and Seattle's nightlife totally shines through. It makes the city feel like its own character, always evolving and offering something fresh. The lighting is another thing that stands out. Whether it's the sunlight filtering through the clouds or the electric glow of neon signs at night, the game nails how lighting sets the mood. The city's always changing, but the way the light hits different spots, like when the sun sets behind the mountains, is just beautiful. It's the kind of thing that makes you want to pause the game for a second and take it all in. Let's talk about the main character, Delsin Rowe. He's a pretty cool guy to control, and he's designed really well. He's not just a walking, talking character. His animations are smooth and believable. Whether he's running through the city or using his powers, you can see the effort the developers put into making him feel real. And speaking of powers, Delsin's abilities are awesome to look at. You've got smoke, neon, video, and concrete powers, and each one comes with its own visual flair. The neon powers are especially fun. The trails of light Delsin leaves behind as he speeds around the city look super cool, especially at night when everything around him is glowing. One of the coolest things about the game is how all the powers feel unique. Smoke is dark and wispy, neon is bright and vibrant, and video power distorts reality, making things look like they're coming out of a weird dream. It's not just about how Delsin looks, though, it's also about the environment around him. You see the world reacting to what he's doing. If you're tearing through the city using concrete powers, you'll see the ground crack and change as you do it. If you're blowing stuff up, the environment shows those changes. It's satisfying to see how your actions leave a mark on the world. The game's destruction mechanics are also impressive. When you're in the middle of a fight and blowing stuff up, it's not just about the action. It's about how everything around you falls apart. Buildings crumble, walls get blasted apart, and things explode in a way that makes you feel like you're really causing chaos. It adds so much to the thrill of the action and makes the world feel more dynamic. Even though the game's all about superpowers and taking down bad guys, it doesn't lose sight of the details that make the world feel alive. The way Delsin interacts with his environment, whether it's climbing walls, jumping off ledges, or just chilling by a campfire with his friends, adds a real sense of immersion. The character movements are smooth, and every small detail helps build the world. When you look at infamous Second Son as a whole, it's clear the game was a true showcase for the PS4's capabilities. It wasn't just about the graphics being pretty, it was about making the world feel real, with everything from the lighting to the characters, the powers, and the city around you all coming together to create something awesome. Even after all these years, it still holds up as a visually impressive game. The Order 1886. The Order 1886 came out in 2015 and really wowed people with its visuals. It might not have been the most well-loved game when it comes to gameplay or story, but when it comes to graphics, this game was top-notch. Set in a cool alternate history version of Victorian London, the game gives you this dark steampunk vibe that really makes the world feel alive. First thing you'll notice is the environment. The city of London looks amazing. The streets are filled with old school cobblestones, gas lamps, and steam-powered machines. It's like stepping into an old-timey world with a twist. The way the city's lit up at night is one of the standout features. You've got these foggy streets with dim lighting, making everything feel mysterious and cinematic. During the day, it has this gloomy but beautiful atmosphere, and at night it's almost magical with all the street lights glowing in the fog. It really makes you feel like you're in another time. Lighting plays a big part in how everything looks. The way light and shadows fall on the environment really adds to the mood. If you're walking down a dark alley, the flicker of a lantern gives you just enough light to see, but everything else is shrouded in mystery. It's all about that dramatic, movie-like atmosphere. The fog, the lights, and the shadows all come together to give you this really immersive, cinematic feel. And then you've got the characters. The main character, Galahad, and everyone else in the game looks so lifelike. Their facial animations are some of the best I've seen, especially for a game from 2015. When they talk, you can see every little movement on their face, every eyebrow raise, every twitch. It makes the interactions feel real, like you're watching a movie, not just playing the game. It's not just about how they look either. The way they move is smooth and natural, like the game's paying attention to all the little detail. And then of course there's the action. The weapons in the Order 1886 are unique and cool. You've got these steampunk style guns like the arc rifle and thermite gun that look crazy, but they also fit perfectly with the time period. When you use them, you get this awesome visual effect. You can actually see the power and impact of the shots, like when electricity crackles out of the arc rifle, or when thermite burns through metal. Every weapon feels powerful and satisfying to use, and it all looks amazing on screen. On top of that, the environments change as you play. The destruction in the game is impressive too. When you're in a fight, things get blown up, walls are torn down, and everything falls apart. It's not just about fighting, it's about how everything around you reacts to what's going on. The game's world feels like it's evolving and changing as you cause chaos, and it all looks pretty cool. Overall, The Order 1886 is a beautiful game, even if it didn't blow everyone away with its story or gameplay. But if you're into games that look like a movie, this one is a gem. The lighting, the character models, the set design, and the smooth transitions between gameplay and cutscenes are all top tier. It may not have been a huge hit for everyone, but visually, it's a game that still holds up. Assassin's Creed Unity. Assassin's Creed Unity was a massive leap forward for the Assassin's Creed series in terms of visuals. When it dropped in 2014, it was clear from the very first trailer that Ubisoft had poured a lot of effort into making the game's world feel as real and immersive as possible. Set during the French Revolution, the game's Paris is stunning, and it's one of those open world cities that you can easily get lost in, both literally and because it's just so cool to explore all regions. The first thing that stands out is how alive Paris feels. The city is packed with detail. Whether you're walking down a busy street with crowds of people, climbing the Grand Notre Dame Cathedral, or just running through the market square, you get the sense that this place is real. The game doesn't just rely on a few fancy buildings, it's filled with life. People are walking around, having conversations, going about their business. There's an energy to the city that makes it feel lived in, and that's something that Unity really nailed. The hustle and bustle of Paris is in every corner, from the small side streets to the wide open squares. The lighting and weather effects are also worth mentioning. Paris in daylight is beautiful, with sunlight streaming down through the narrow alleys or casting shadows across the cobblestone streets. But when night falls, the city transforms. The glow of street lamps, the reflections in puddles after rain, and the flicker of candlelight inside the buildings create this moody, atmospheric vibe that makes you want to take a moment just to enjoy the view. It's one of those games where you can pause and just appreciate the environment, especially with the dynamic weather, rainstorms and fog roll in and change how the world feels. The animations in Unity are incredibly smooth too, whether it's parkour, combat, or just running around the city, everything flows naturally. The parkour system, which is a big part of the Assassin's Creed gameplay, has never felt so fluid. You can zip from rooftop to rooftop, leap off buildings, and scale walls without any jarring interruptions. Everything feels connected, and it all flows seamlessly. The combat is also a step up, with more fluid animations and better responsiveness. Whether you're in a one-on-one fight or a massive crowd of enemies, the action looks smooth and exciting. The level of detail in Unity is honestly mind-blowing, especially when you climb the Notre Dame Cathedral or any of the iconic landmarks in Paris. These buildings aren't just backdrops, they're fully realized. You can climb every nook and cranny of them, and the textures are sharp enough to make you feel like you're really there. The architecture, the stained glass windows, the intricate stonework, it's all beautifully rendered. And the attention to detail doesn't stop with the big landmarks. Even the smaller buildings have character, with their unique rooftops, window shutters, and ivy creeping up the walls. Dying Light. Dying Light is one of those games that just feels good to play. It's got that perfect mix of open world exploration, intense zombie survival, and smooth parkour that really makes it stand out. Even though it came out in 2015, it still looks amazing, especially when you're running across rooftops, looking down at the city below. First things first, the world. The city of Haran is like a character in itself. It's an open world full of abandoned buildings, overgrown streets, and areas you'll want to explore. The way the environment is designed really makes you feel like you're living in a world that's been taken over by the apocalypse. You've got the whole rundown, post-chaos vibe, vines creeping up the sides of buildings, broken down cars scattered around, and debris everywhere. It's a city on the edge and it feels real. But what really sets Dying Light apart is the parkour. You'll spend a lot of time jumping, climbing, and sliding your way through the city, and it's super satisfying. The movement system is smooth as butter, whether you're scaling a building or leaping over obstacles. It feels fluid and natural, and it makes getting around the world feel like part of the fun, not a chore. You're always thinking about how to get from point A to point B in the most creative way possible. Plus, you get to do it while dodging zombies, which adds a whole new level of excitement. The game has a really cool day-night cycle. During the day, things are chill enough, well, as chill as it can be with zombies everywhere, but once night hits, everything changes. The zombies get faster and scarier, and the whole city takes on this creepy vibe. The lighting in the game is a huge part of that. During the day, the sun gives the city a warm, almost peaceful look, but when night falls, it's all shadows, darkness, and the occasional flicker of a street lamp. It really cranks up the tension, especially when you're trying to sneak around and avoid getting spotted by the nastier zombies. The character models in Dying Light are also pretty solid. The zombies themselves are gross in the best way possible. Each one has its own look and feel, from the normal shamblers to the creepy special ones. It's all about that visceral combat. Whether you're smashing zombies with a crowbar or chopping them down with a machete, the physics are satisfying too, and every swing feels heavy. You can actually feel the weight behind each hit, which makes the action pretty fun. The world is also pretty dynamic. Things change as you play, whether it's a new weather effect rolling in or the zombies taking over a certain part of the city. There's always something happening. It keeps the game feeling fresh, and you never really know what's coming next. And as you level up, you unlock new abilities and gear, making you feel stronger and more ready to take on whatever the game throws at you faster. It's that constant progression that keeps you hooked. But honestly, what really makes Dying Light stand out is the sense of freedom. The game gives you a ton of ways to approach things. You can take the sneaky route, parkour your way past zombies, or go all out and fight your way through. It's your choice, and the game lets you play it how you want. All in all, Dying Light is a blast. The parkour, the creepy atmosphere, the day-night cycle, everything just comes together to make a world that's fun to explore and intense to survive in. And while the visuals may have been impressive back in 2015, they still hold up today, especially when you're scaling buildings or running away from a horde of zombies at night. It's one of those games that's just a good time, and it's definitely worth checking out if you haven't yet. Mafia II. Mafia II takes you back to the 1940s and 50s, letting you live the life of Vito Scaletta, a guy who's just trying to make a name for himself in the world of crime. The game dropped back in 2010, but even now it still looks and feels amazing, especially when it comes to how the world is built. First, let's talk about the city of Empire Bay. It's like stepping right into a mob movie. The world is full of cool details, from the classic cars to the buildings, and the music that blasts out of the radios is pure 40s and 50s. You really get a sense of the time period, and the way the game nails the atmosphere makes it easy to get lost in. The lighting is gorgeous too. The city looks warm and golden in the daytime, and at night it takes on this moody vibe with neon lights flickering on the streets. Driving around the city isn't just a way to get from one mission to the next, it's an experience. The cars feel like they belong in this world, and you can actually enjoy just cruising around listening to the radio. Then there's Vito. His story is a big draw in Mafia II. He comes back from World War II and gets pulled deeper into the mob world.
Why you boys? Come on, help me out, or we're gonna die here.
The narrative is classic mob drama: loyalty, betrayal, ambition, all that good stuff. It's not all action either. There's a real focus on character development, so you get attached to Vito and the people around him. The gameplay's pretty solid. You'll spend a lot of time shooting and sneaking around, and the cover system makes the gunplay pretty fun. It's not as flashy as some of the more recent shooters, but it gets the job done. The way the game handles gunfights, dodging behind cover and popping out to take shots, is smooth, and it makes you feel like a real mobster trying to get out of a tight spot.